Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at The Dove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at thedove.us. Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Well, we are really honored to have with us today Paula Kweskin. She's an attorney. She's a writer and a producer of Honor Diaries, all-women documentary about forced marriage and gender inequality in the Muslim-majority society, and the author of her latest article published in the Wall Street Journal, Bring Back All Girls Trapped in Sharia Law. And we're here to learn about that incident as well. Hi, Paula. Good to see you today.
Hi. Thanks so much for having me.
Great. Where are you? Where are we bringing you in from?
Jerusalem.
Wow. The picture is terrific. Nice to have you with us today. Thanks for your time. Well, this is an incredible thing. You know, we're hearing a lot about Boko Haram, but maybe a lot of people don't know about Boko Haram. Can you start there?
Sure. Boko Haram is a terrorist group. It is based out of Nigeria. They have a stated goal, which is to turn Nigeria into a Sharia state. And so that would be a state that would be dictated by Sharia law, laws based on the Quran and other philosophical ideals. And they have been wreaking havoc on that country for years, in fact, and have caused the deaths of many, many innocent civilians. So unfortunately, this recent kidnapping is just one incident in a spate of very violent and targeted attacks.
So what's the motive, Paula, behind this kidnapping of these 200 girls?
Well, I guess we could think about a lot of different reasons for the kidnapping. Certainly, like I just said, they do believe in the idea of a Sharia state, and as such, they do not believe that girls should have access to education. In fact, the name Boko Haram loosely translates into Western education is sinful. So for them, the idea that girls would be allowed to have an education, would be able to fulfill their dreams is frankly just viewed as something that's sinful and antithetical to their ideology.
And that is the essence of your recent article in the Wall Street Journal, Bring Back All Girls Trapped in Sharia Law. I don't know if we in the West understand how dangerous this is if we don't speak up now.
Right. Well, that's the link that I was trying to make, which is that unfortunately what's happened to the girls in Nigeria is similar to what's happening to girls all over the world. So in Saudi Arabia, for example, another state that's dictated by Sharia law, women are treated as if they were perpetual minors. They're not allowed to drive a car. They're not allowed to leave the country without a male's consent. They're not allowed to own businesses without a man. And so we see that this is something that takes place systematically in many, many different parts of the world. And I don't think that we're quite making the connections that we should be making, that what's happening in Nigeria is not an isolated incident.
So what do you think will happen to these girls?
Well, unfortunately, I think that our imaginations can take us to some pretty terrible places. The leader of the group has said that he wants to sell each of the girls into marriage, quote unquote, for $12 a piece. And of course, this is not marriage. This is really sexual slavery. I do hope that there will be some type of exchange worked out, or some type of situation in which the girls are brought back to safety. It's something that we should be all hoping and praying for, and pressuring our leaders and our governments to hopefully get a smooth and swift resolution. Are
you frustrated, like most people, that we're not doing more? It seems like we're throwing a lot of words at this, but that's about it.
Yeah, I am a bit frustrated. I think that we have a responsibility to help girls and women all over the world who are affected by this. I'm certainly encouraged that the First Lady held up a sign. I'm encouraged by a lot of different diplomats and celebrities have held up signs and have joined the Twitter campaign. But it's going to take a lot more than a few words and a hashtag to really see effective and lasting change.
These girls were primarily targeted because of their faith, right?
Yes, it seems that in some sense they were, although there were Muslim and Christian girls kidnapped. Of course, one of the first things that the kidnappers did was forcibly convert, or allegedly forcibly convert, the girls to Islam. And so again, I think that what we're looking at is a very specific type of Islam, a very extremist form in which, according to these individuals, this type of education is sinful, and that women shouldn't be allowed this type of an education.
Paula, I know my next question might sound political, but I'm really trying to get a feel for this. It appears that our current administration, i.e. our president, seems to be sympathetic to Islamic rule. Therefore, nice words are said, but nothing's really done. The First Lady held up a sign that said, "Bring back our girls." It went viral. Certainly felt good, but nothing came of it. And you had a different response to that.
Yes, I think that there's a lot more that our administration can be doing. As I wrote in the op-ed, the president was in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia in March, and he had a meeting with the king. And I think that there's a lot that he could have done to exert pressure to say that we won't stand for this type of behavior. And again, I'm referring to the way that women and girls are treated in Saudi Arabia. They're perpetual minors. They're not allowed to drive. Not to mention, if a woman is caught as an adulterer, allegedly, she can be stoned to death. I mean, there's some really horrific abuses taking place against women. And the president did give an award to a woman in Saudi Arabia for her activities on behalf of women's rights. But I really feel as if it's a drop in the bucket. There is so much more that can be done.
Didn't the Saudi king's daughter speak out?
Yeah, exactly. There are a few of the Saudi king's daughters imprisoned, kidnapped, as it would be, behind palace walls. They've not been able to leave the palace compound for years, in fact. And two of the daughters spoke out via, I guess, Skype or YouTube to say that if they're being imprisoned against their will, if they're being denied freedom of movement, then can you imagine how bad it is for the rest of the women in Saudi Arabia? And they pointed their message at President Obama. They said, how could you be coming to Riyadh right now, of all times, when we're imprisoned? How can you be sitting with our father when he's the one responsible not only for our suffering, but for the suffering of women all over the kingdom?
You see, I don't think we, for some reason, even in the faith community, understand this kind of inequality. It's just, we hear bits and pieces of it like this, gee, we say that's bad. But this is a way of life in a lot of these Islamic countries, and the world just kind of goes quiet on this issue.
It's systematic oppression of women. It is institutionalized misogyny of women in the name of faith, in the name of culture, in the name of some political ideology. And it is affecting millions and millions of women all over the world. There's a terrible case in Sudan right now of a woman who is at risk of being executed because she's a Christian, and she's living in Sudan. This is something that it takes place every single day. And I'm glad that the Nigerian kidnapping has brought this attention to the world view, but we really shouldn't stop there. It's something that needs to be investigated much deeper.
Speaking of the woman who's up for execution, she's also pregnant. We're hearing all kinds of stories about that, but we're going to stand by as a civilized country and watch somebody innocently be executed? I mean, it's just crazy.
It's deplorable, but it's unfortunately not the only execution that's taking place. There's a woman in Iran right now. She is up for execution as well. And what was her crime? She was trying to defend herself against a rapist, and she stabbed him to death in self-defense. She too is on death row. So like I said, there's a real pattern taking place around the world, whether you're talking Sudan, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Brunei, Nigeria, and yet our governments do business with these other governments, and I think we really need to take a stand against that.
The threat of expanding Sharia law throughout the world is real, isn't it?
It is real. It has cropped up not only in cases in the United States, but also in the United Kingdom, in which different groups have pushed for acceptance and adoption of certain elements of Sharia law. You're absolutely right.
Wow. So what is your work, Paula? What are you doing there in Israel?
Well, I'm just finished working on an amazing documentary film. I encourage all of your listeners and viewers to go see it. It's honordiaries.com. You can check it out. The name of the film is Honor Diaries. It tells the story of 9 brave women's rights activists. It's one of the first films of its kind to break the silence on so-called honor. And honor is this abstract concept by which a woman's life is completely dictated by her family, whether it's who she can talk to, whether she has an education, who she can marry. And it also involves abuses like female genital mutilation, or FGM. And unfortunately, what's trying to be instituted in Nigeria would very much take the honor system and institutionalize it. So we try to break the silence on this issue, and we've got some amazing women telling their stories in the film.
Well, congratulations again. Honor Diary. What's the website again?
honordiaries.com.
honordiaries.com. Well, Paula, you're a delight. Thank you, and thank you for your work. Keep up the good work, and let's stay in touch, okay?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
All right, nice to have you with us. We'll be right back.